The Martian wind howled through the narrow fissure as Dr. Lena Voss crouched beside the glowing crater. The surface of Valles Marineris had never looked so alive. Her gloved fingers traced the edges of the fractured metallic hull that had just been revealed by a seismic tremor, a titan of ancient engineering buried beneath the red dust for untold millennia. The smooth curves of the ship's hull shimmered faintly under the dim light of the distant sun, its surface etched with symbols that seemed both alien and hauntingly familiar. "Lena, come see this," called Malik, her assistant, voice crackling, through the comm link. She hurried to the excavation site where a panel had been partially exposed. The metal was cold but not lifeless. Tiny rhythmic pulses of blue light emanated from cracks in the hull, like a heartbeat waking from deep sleep. This can't be," Malik whispered, his eyes wide. Lena's mind raced. The Coalition's orbital scans had shown nothing. For years they'd combed Mars for artifacts, ruins of long-extinct alien civilizations, but this was different. It wasn't alien. It was human. She knelt closer, wiping dust from a nearby inscription. The characters were indecipherable, yet somehow, through a flood of hazy intuition, she recognized the shapes. Early Earth protoscripts, far older than any recorded history. "Get the team here," she ordered, voice steady despite the surge of adrenaline. "This changes everything." Hours later, beneath the glowing vault of Mars's twilight sky, Lena stood on the deck of the expedition's mobile lab, staring at the warship through reinforced glass. It was enormous, longer than a city block, shaped like a jagged dagger, frozen in time. The team had established a perimeter, careful not to provoke whatever ancient systems still thrummed within. As they prepared scanners and drones, a wave of tension rippled through the crew. This was no ordinary dig. This was a discovery that could shatter humanity's understanding of itself. Suddenly, the ship pulsed again, brighter this time. Lights sparked along the hull in geometric patterns, illuminating the symbols in a mesmerizing dance of colors. The metal began to resonate, a low hum vibrating through the ground. Lena's heart pounded. "We're triggering something," she said, turning to her second in command. Malik nodded grimly. "Or it's triggering us." Back on Earth, in the steel and glass chambers of the United Nations Galactic Council, news of the discovery spread like wildfire. Political representatives from dozens of species gathered, their expressions a mix of curiosity and dread. "Humanity has uncovered relics that predate the oldest known civilizations," announced Ambassador Tivar of the Threx Dominion, his voice cold and clipped. "This is not merely an archaeological matter. This is a matter of galactic security." The council chambers buzzed with murmurs. The Threx had always viewed humans as new and untested, a fledgling species barely a century into interstellar travel. To learn that humanity's roots might stretch back eons, entwined with the galaxy's shadowed history, unsettled everyone. "Access to the site must be controlled," Tivar demanded. "The pan-human coalition cannot be trusted with powers they do not understand." Meanwhile on Mars, the excavation intensified. Lena's team used remote probes to analyze the ship's surface. The readings defied all known physics. The hull's alloy was unbreakable by conventional means and absorbed energy rather than reflecting it. One of the drones sent inside returned images of vast chambers filled with dormant machinery. Rows of control consoles, data crystals flickering faintly, and most unsettlingly what appeared to be human remains in suspended animation. Lena's breath caught. This isn't just a ship. It's a tomb, a fortress, a message. That night, as the thin Martian atmosphere shimmered with cold stars, Lena sat alone in her quarters, studying the data. Then suddenly the ship's hum deepened, and the walls around the excavation camp vibrated with a pulse, a rhythm like a heartbeat, steady and alive. Her comm link beeped urgently. "Dr. Voss." "You need to see this." Malik's voice trembled. She rushed outside. The hull now projected a swirling hologram, a star chart unlike any in their database, centered on the solar system, but annotated with symbols representing wars, alliances, and catastrophic events that stretched back hundreds of thousands of years. At the center, a glowing emblem, an ancient symbol resembling Earth's own. Humans as masters of the stars. "We were never alone," Lena whispered. And suddenly, the warship's system surged. Lights flared, power cores activated. Somewhere deep inside, a voice awakened, speaking a language lost to time, calling humanity back to a legacy it had forgotten. The Galactic Council chamber buzzed with low murmurs as Ambassador Tavar stepped forward, his slender frame casting a long shadow over the polished floor. His dark eyes scanned the assembly, dozens of representatives from alien species, human diplomats, and coalition officials, each absorbing the magnitude of the Martian discovery. "Ladies and gentlemen," Tavar began, his voice cold and deliberate, "the recent unearthing of the so-called First Imperium warship on Mars challenges everything we know about humanity's origins, and indeed the galactic order itself." A ripple of shocked whispers passed through the room. "Ship is ancient, far older than any known civilization in this quadrant," he continued. "It suggests that humanity is not a newcomer, but the heirs of a civilization that once dominated this galaxy. This revelation undermines the fragile balance of power we have maintained." At the back of the chamber, Earth's lead representative, Ambassador Rachel Kim, sat tense, her fingers gripping the armrests. She had prepared to defend humanity's sovereignty, but the veiled threats in Tavar's tone made her stomach tighten. "Are you suggesting," she interrupted, "that the discovery justifies intervention? That we are not entitled to investigate our own history?" Tavar's gaze sharpened. "We are not questioning your right to knowledge, Ambassador Kim, but we must ensure that this power, if it still exists, does not threaten the peace of the galaxy." Outside the chamber, behind closed doors, a far more clandestine meeting was underway. Representatives from Earth's military-industrial complex, covert intelligence agencies, and shadowy corporate factions convened in secret. "We cannot allow this discovery to slip out of our control," growled General Arjun Malhotra, commander of Earth's orbital defense forces. "If the Threx or any other power gains access to those warships first, it could mean our extinction." A corporate magnate named Elias Crane leaned forward, his fingers steepled. "We must consider the commercial potential as well. Technologies from that Imperium ship, if reverse-engineered, could vault humanity centuries ahead." Lena's name came up, whispered as a wild card. The archaeologist had become a symbol of hope, but also a liability. Too curious, too idealistic. "We'll have agents monitoring her team," Crane said, "and if necessary, redirect the excavation." Back on Mars, the atmosphere around the excavation site was electric and dangerous. Lena paced the perimeter fence, watching the warship's eerie pulses synchronize with the data feeds flooding her monitors. Her crew worked feverishly, but tension brewed. The unexpected arrival of a sleek black diplomatic shuttle from the Threx Dominion complicated everything. Captain Drell Zan, the Threx envoy, stepped out. A tall figure in ceremonial armor, his reptilian eyes gleaming with calculated intent. "Dr. Voss," he said smoothly, "we come as observers. The Threx Dominion demands full access to the site." Lena's jaw tightened. "This is a pan-human coalition operation. We will not relinquish control." Drelzan's gaze hardened. "You misunderstand. This is a matter of galactic security. The warship you have disturbed is part of a larger network, one that threatens to destabilize the entire region if mishandled." The tension between them was palpable. Lena felt a storm brewing, not just of politics but of something far older. That night, Lena's dreams were invaded by fractured visions. She found herself aboard the warship, wandering corridors flooded with ghostly light, flickering images of battles played out, ships blazing, worlds burning, voices shouting in languages lost to time. A woman's voice echoed in her mind. "Remember who you are. The First Imperium rises again." She awoke with a start, her heart hammering. Was it a message? A warning? The next morning brought a devastating blow. One of the Coalition's encrypted channels was hacked. Information leaked to Galactic media, showing unauthorized access to the warship's interior, data stolen. Fingers immediately pointed to rival factions. Sabotage, Malik said grimly as Lena scanned the damage. Someone wants to control this discovery, and they're willing to destabilize the entire coalition to get it. With outside forces closing in, Lena made a desperate decision. She convened her core team. "We can't let this ship fall into the wrong hands," she said. "But we also can't hide it forever. The galaxy deserves the truth." Her second-in-command, Malik, nodded slowly. "We'll need allies." "But who?" Lena asked, her voice low. "The Threks want it. Earth's factions want it. Even some of our own question what to do." Then a voice crackled over the comm link, an unexpected transmission from an unknown source. "Dr. Voss," it said. "If you wish to survive this, meet us at the coordinates I'm sending, alone." Lena stared at the screen. The war had begun. The airlock hissed open, revealing a corridor lit by pale, bluish lights that seemed to pulse in time with Lena's quickened heartbeat. The interior of the warship was cold but alive, humming softly with a power that defied the centuries it had spent entombed beneath Martian soil. Lena and Malik led a small exploration team down the sleek passageways, their footsteps muffled by the soft metallic floor. The walls glimmered with ancient symbols, some familiar, others cryptic, etched in alloys that caught the light like veins of starlight. "We're inside Saul's hammer," Malik whispered, awe creeping into his voice. "The ship they called, the First Imperium's hammer strike." Lena swallowed hard. The name itself felt like a prophecy. Suddenly, the ship's interior flickered to life. Panels slid open along the corridor, revealing dormant consoles, holographic projectors, and rows of sealed cryochambers. One of the glass lids hissed and cracked open, revealing a skeletal form, human but dressed in armor unlike anything seen in modern times. This isn't a grave," Lena breathed. "It's a fortress frozen in time." At the heart of the ship, the team found the control nexus, a vast chamber dominated by a massive crystalline core that pulsed with an eerie blue glow. As Lena approached, the core reacted, projecting a hologram into the air, a towering figure clad in radiant armor, its face obscured by a mask of light. "I am the remnant of the First Imperium," the figure's voice echoed, resonant and commanding. "Long have we slumbered, awaiting the awakening of our heirs." The team staggered back, overwhelmed. This was no ordinary AI. It was a consciousness, fragmented but aware, steeped in millennia of war and rule. "Show us your history," Lena demanded, her voice steady despite the tremors inside her. The hologram shimmered, shifting into star, maps, battle diagrams, and scenes of devastation, fleets clashing in the void, planets shattered by weapons beyond imagination, and armies of humans fighting humans. "These were the wars that tore the galaxy asunder," the remnant intoned. "The sundering, the cataclysm that ended our reign and forced the rebirth of your kind." Lena watched images of cities burning, entire civilizations erased in the blink of an eye. The First Imperium had not been a benevolent empire. It had been a colossus of power and ambition. "We destroyed ourselves," the remnant said, its voice heavy with a distant sorrow. "And we buried the truth to ensure the cycle would not repeat." Back at the excavation camp, tensions ran high. "The First Imperium fought wars with weapons that could rend stars," Malik said, pacing the lab. "If even a fraction of that technology still works, we're dealing with a force unlike anything in the current galaxy." Lena's mind raced. Humanity had been born from ashes, reborn, isolated on Earth as a seed, its memories wiped clean. But the warship's awakening meant those memories could flood back, bringing either salvation or annihilation. A sudden alert flashed on their systems. Sensors picked up activity on the ship's outer hull, a fleet of sleek, hostile vessels approaching Mars orbit. "They're here," Lena said grimly. "The Threks Dominion." In orbit, the Threks warships encircled the red planet with predatory precision. Their flagship, A dark behemoth bristling with weaponry sent a transmission. Pan-human coalition. The voice of Captain Drelzan boomed across secure channels. Surrender the warship. Stand down, or be destroyed. Lena's comm crackled. With urgent chatter. Do not engage, Earth's command ordered. We must negotiate. But Lena knew better. The warship was not just a prize, it was a key. Whoever controlled Sol's hammer controlled the legacy and power of the First Imperium. Inside the warship's command nexus, the remnant spoke again. The Imperium's defenses can still awaken, it said. But they will serve only those who carry the true bloodline. Lena felt a strange connection, a spark deep in her mind. The vision she'd had, the genetic echoes, were more than hallucinations. She was part of this ancient lineage. So were all humans. Suddenly, the ship's exterior shifted. Massive armor plates slid open, revealing weapon arrays that gleamed with deadly precision. Automated turrets powered up, tracking the incoming fleet. Prepare to defend Mars, Lena said. This is our home, and our past is our shield. As the first salvo of energy bolts streaked through the void, Lena's team worked furiously to interface with the ship's AI, unlocking layers of forgotten technology. The battle was no longer just for control of a relic. It was a war for humanity's soul, and somewhere deep within the ship's memory banks, the ancient Imperium stirred fully awake, ready to reclaim its place among the stars. The hum of the warship was a constant presence as Dr. Lena Voss stood before the latest data readout in the mobile lab. The ancient vessel, Sol's Hammer, had awakened not just as a machine of war, but as a vault of humanity's lost genetic and cultural heritage. Malik approached, holding a sealed biosample container. The DNA we extracted from the cryochambers, it's human, but it's unlike anything we've seen. Lena took the sample, heart pounding. Run it against the human genome sequence database. Minutes later, the screen flickered to life with a startling result. The ancient DNA was the precise progenitor of modern humans, older by hundreds of thousands of years, with distinct genetic markers preserved through millennia. It's impossible, Malik whispered. We always thought humanity started on Earth less than 100,000 years ago, evolving naturally. But this proves we descended directly from the First Imperium. Lena's mind reeled. The implications were staggering. Humans were not a latecomer species, but the reborn heirs of a civilization that had ruled the stars long before recorded history. Earth was not the cradle of humanity's rise. It was a quarantine station, a seed world to preserve what remained after Cataclysm. In the following days, the excavation team discovered more than just artifacts. They found remnants of memory. Volatile energy pulses from the warship seemed to trigger latent genetic memories in the crew. Lena herself began experiencing vivid, surreal visions, fragments of past lives embedded deep in her DNA. She saw herself in a gleaming city among the stars, wearing the armor of an Imperium commander. She heard orders barked across battlefields, saw entire worlds reduced to ash by weapons so advanced they seemed like magic. And she felt the crushing weight of betrayal, the sundering that had shattered the First Imperium from within. Lena staggered from the lab, overwhelmed. Malik caught her arm gently. These aren't hallucinations, Lena. It's genetic memory. The Imperium's legacy is waking up inside us. The implications unsettled everyone. If the memories were true, it meant the myths and legends of Earth, Atlantis, the Great Flood, the Tower of Babel, were distorted echoes of a real galactic cataclysm. Humanity's gods had been warlords and star-lords, and the ancient wars were the true origin stories. The crew debated what to do with this knowledge. Should they share it with the world, or protect humanity from a truth that might ignite panic, division, or worse, war? Meanwhile, tensions outside the Martian perimeter escalated. The Threx Dominion refused to back down, enforcing a tight blockade. Earth's own factions grew restless, with some pushing to weaponize the ancient technology for dominance. An underground network of human sympathizers began sabotaging coalition efforts, eager to claim the warships for themselves. Lena realized the discovery was fracturing humanity, just as the warship's awakening was supposed to unify it. One night, While reviewing data deep within the ship's archives, Lena made a breakthrough. Hidden in a labyrinth of encoded files was a log, an audio recording, faint but intact, of a leader from the First Imperium's final days. The voice was weary, tinged with sorrow. We knew the end was near. Our empire's arrogance unleashed devastation beyond reckoning. We shattered the stars, and in our pride, doomed ourselves. We wiped our histories clean, hoping our children would rise anew, wiser, stronger, but we feared they would forget. The recording ended with a chilling warning. Remember, lest history repeat. The past is a prison and a key. Lena sat back, haunted. She understood now why humanity had been quarantined on Earth. The First Imperium's collapse was not just destruction, it was a cleansing, a reset. And yet the warship's activation meant the past was no longer buried. Suddenly, alarms blared across the base. "Intruders!" Malik shouted, rushing to the perimeter. Outside, armed figures in dark armor moved swiftly under the Martian sky. Saboteurs, mercenaries hired by factions who refused to wait. Lena grabbed her comm. "Security teams to Sector 4, protect the research." The base erupted into chaos. Energy weapons cracked through the thin atmosphere, lighting the night with bursts of fire. In the chaos, Lena's genetic memories surged stronger. Visions, guiding her through the labyrinthine ship corridors as if she had lived there before. She led her team to a hidden chamber, a command center shielded by ancient encryption. Inside, a holographic map of the solar system flickered, pinpointing dormant warships buried across moons and planets. "We're not alone," Lena said grimly. "The Imperium's armada still sleeps in the dark." As the intruders were repelled by Coalition security, Lena stared at the map. The galaxy was about to remember humanity's true past and the power that came with it. But the question remained: would humanity rise to claim its ancient legacy, or be crushed beneath the weight of its forgotten sins? The Martian dawn cast long shadows over the excavation site, but sleep was a luxury no one could afford. The warship Saul's hammer pulsed faintly in the cool air, as if anticipating the inevitable storm. Lena sat in the command tent, eyes fixed on the encrypted map glowing before her. The scattered warships, sleeping giants buried on distant moons, asteroids, even beneath Earth's oceans, were no longer secrets. The Imperium's armada was vast, and awakening it meant awakening an old war that could consume everything. Malik entered, his face grim. "The Council is pushing for a lockdown. No more transmissions. They want to quarantine all information." Lena shook her head. "You can't silence the truth, Malik, especially when our own people are divided. Some want to weaponize the Imperium tech, others want to destroy it outright." A heavy silence filled the tent. Then Lena's tablet pinged, an incoming securer. Transmission from an unknown source. She tapped it open. A distorted, deep voice filled the room. "Dr. Voss, the time has come. The awakening protocol is encoded within Saul's hammer. It can restore the Armada's full power, but it must be initiated by the true heirs. The legacy is yours to command, or to lose." The message ended abruptly, leaving an eerie quiet. Malik leaned in. "Who sent that?" "No idea," Lena admitted. "But it confirms what we feared. The warship isn't just a relic, it's a command node. If we don't activate the protocol, someone else will, and it won't be peaceful." The team debated fiercely. Some argued for caution, warning of unleashing uncontrollable power. Others, like Malik, believed activating the protocol was the only way to safeguard humanity's future. Lena decided they needed more information. They returned to the command nexus within the warship, where the Remnant AI awaited silently. "Remnant," Lena said, voice steady but urgent. "Tell us about the awakening protocol." The holographic figure shimmered, its light flickering like a dying star. The protocol was designed to resurrect the First Imperium's military might, fleet, weapons, defenses, all controlled through the Armada. It can only be triggered by genetic signatures of the original bloodline, it explained. And once activated, Lena pressed, power will surge through the Armada. It will awaken the dormant warships. The Imperium's forces will stand ready to defend the galaxy, or conquer it anew. Lena's heart pounded. The weaponization of such power could bring salvation, or extinction. The crew began scanning their own DNA against the remnant's security matrix. One by one they were verified, descendants of the ancient lineage, eligible to authorize the protocol. When it came to Lena, the ship reacted differently. The crystalline core blazed bright, and the remnant's voice grew clearer, almost reverent. "You are the chosen heir," it intoned, "bearer of the legacy. Without your will, the Armada remains dormant." Lena felt the weight of millennia on her shoulders. Meanwhile, the Threx blockade tightened. Their warships hovered menacingly in orbit, disrupting communications and supply lines. Captain Drelzan sent a final ultimatum: surrender the warship and cease all activation attempts or face annihilation. Lena's answer was clear. "We cannot surrender our heritage," she told Malik. "If the Threx want war, they'll get it." Back inside the warship, Lena initiated the protocol sequence. The ship's systems thrummed louder, awakening networks, long dormant. Massive starship hangars opened, revealing dormant fighters and cruisers coated in Martian dust. "Prepare the defense grid," Lena ordered. "If the Imperium's past is war, then we'll be ready." As the warship's weapons powered up, a strange energy ripple surged outward, triggering dormant systems on distant celestial bodies. From an asteroid belt beyond Jupiter, a fleet stirred. From the icy depths of Europa's ocean moon, ancient submersibles activated. From Earth's own ocean trenches, long-buried vessels hummed awake. Suddenly, Lena's comm crackled. "Dr. Voss," a voice hissed, distorted but urgent. "You don't understand what you're doing." It was the unknown source again. "The Imperium's power was forged in blood and betrayal. Awakening it will not bring salvation. It will unleash the ghosts of an endless war." Before Lena could respond, the transmission cut off. The first battle was swift and brutal. Threx warships descended, firing salvo after salvo at Saul's hammer. But the warship's defenses blazed to life. Energy shields flared, automated turrets roared, and swarms of ancient fighters launched into the void. Lena watched from the command deck, her mind torn between exhilaration and dread. The Imperium's legacy was alive again, and the galaxy would never be the same. The void outside Saul's hammer crackled with the deadly dance of starships. The Threx fleet, sleek and lethal, bore down like a predator hungry for its prey. Lena stood on the command deck, eyes locked on the view screen as the warship's ancient defenses roared to life. Shields at full strength, weapon systems online, Malik reported, fingers flying over the controls. Lena's heart hammered. This was no longer a scientific mission, it was a war. The first volley of plasma bolts streaked toward the warship, lighting the darkness with deadly precision. Saul's hammer's massive energy shields flared in response, absorbing the impact in a shimmer of blue light. "Return fire," Lena commanded. From the ship's hangars, fighters exploded into space, sleek, angular crafts with glowing blue thrusters and armaments that gleamed with forgotten technology. They sliced through the Threx attackers with deadly accuracy, their plasma beams tearing hulls apart. The Threx flagship barked orders in harsh clicks and growls, sending reinforcements to flank Saul's hammer. But the ancient warship was more than a fortress. It was a guardian. Lena felt the remnant's presence in the ship's systems, a spectral commander guiding every defensive maneuver. The AI's voice echoed softly in her mind. "Stand fast, heirs of the First Imperium. Our legacy is steel and fire." Back on the surface of Mars, the excavation camp trembled with the force of the orbital battle. Explosions rocked the habitat, modules, and the air filled with the acrid scent of ionized plasma. "Ground teams, hold your positions," Malik shouted into his comm. "We can't let saboteurs breach the perimeter during this chaos." Lena's gaze snapped back to the command console. The ship's energy reserves were draining fast. The ancient power source was formidable, but strained under continuous assault. Suddenly, the view screen flickered. An incoming transmission from the Threx flagship. Dr. Voss. Captain Drelzan's scaled face filled the screen, eyes blazing with fury. You play with forces you cannot control. Surrender the warship now or suffer total destruction. Lena's jaw clenched. We will defend our heritage, no matter the cost. She cut the transmission and turned to Malik. Prepare for boarding parties. If they breach the ship, we lose everything. Deep within Saul's hammer, emergency alarms blared. The ancient corridors were vast and labyrinthine, filled with dormant defense systems that flickered to life. Lena led a team of engineers and security officers, racing to the docking bays where Threx assault pods had begun to dock. The first boarding party hit the outer hull like a swarm of hornets. Energy blasts lit the corridors as Coalition security fought back fiercely. In the chaos, Lena caught a glimpse of something that chilled her. A shadowy figure moving with uncanny speed and strength. Cloaked in dark armor emblazoned with a symbol she didn't recognize. Who are they? Malik asked, breathless. No idea, Lena replied, but they're not Threx. This is something else, something older. The battle raged both above and below the Martian surface. Outside, Saul's Hammer's fighters engaged the Threx fleet in deadly dogfights, weaving through debris fields and energy storms. The warship's massive cannons unleashed blasts that shook orbiting satellites. Inside, Lena and her team pushed forward, sealing bulkheads and activating automated turrets that hummed with lethal precision. But the intruders were relentless, advancing with tactical coordination that suggested more than brute force. They were hunting for something. As the fighting reached a fever pitch, Lena found herself back in the command nexus. The remnant AI's hologram flickered urgently. The awakening protocol is incomplete. There is a missing component, a key to full activation. It lies beyond Mars, in the ruins of the old capital, Imperium Prime. Lena's breath caught. The discovery meant the war was far from over. We need to get to Imperium Prime, she said, or this warship, and humanity's future, will fall into the wrong hands. Malik nodded grimly. And if that shadowy figure is hunting for the same key, we have little time. Outside the warship, the Threx fleet began to falter under the relentless counterattack. The ancient Imperium technology, despite its age, proved devastating. Captain Drelzan growled in frustration. Retreat, we will regroup and return. As the Threx ships pulled back, the battle slowed, but the war had only just begun. Lena stood on the bridge staring at the battered warship orbiting the red planet. The ghosts of the First Imperium had stirred, and the galaxy was waking to an ancient war. Her hands trembled as she looked at the stars. The past is not dead, she whispered, and it's coming for us. The journey to Imperium Prime was like a voyage into legend. Lena stood on the bridge of Saul's Hammer, staring out at the swirling asteroid belt where the ancient capital lay in ruins. Years of war and cataclysm had shattered the once magnificent city into fragmented shards of metal and stone, floating silently in the void. Sensors are picking up strange energy signatures, Malik reported, eyes scanning the display. Something's alive down there. Something old. Lena's grip tightened on the railing. The warship's remnant AI had warned them. The missing component of the awakening protocol was hidden in Imperium Prime, and they were not the only ones searching. As Saul's Hammer descended, an eerie calm settled over the command deck. The sky, ruins stretched out below like the bones of a giant, ancient and fractured. The atmosphere was thin, toxic, but the warship's technology allowed them to hover safely just above the surface. Lena's thoughts drifted to the shadowy figure they'd seen on Mars, a phantom hunter stalking the warship's corridors. Who, or what, was it? Why did it move with such purpose and power? Prepare the scout teams, Lena ordered. We'll need eyes on the ground, and full security. The landing parties deployed in sleek, armored walkers, their sensors scanning for threats amid the ruins. The silence was oppressive, broken only by the hiss of their machines and the distant crackle of damaged electronics. In the heart of the city lay the old command citadel, its towering spires shattered but still humming faintly with latent power. Lena led the team inside, their boots echoing on cracked floors littered with remnants of an ancient civilization, data crystals, weapons, even fragments of forgotten texts. Suddenly, the lights flickered. "Contact!" Malik shouted. From the shadows emerged the shadowy figure, an imposing warrior clad in black armor etched with symbols older than any human language. "You shouldn't have come here," the figure said, voice cold and unyielding. Lena stepped forward. "Who are you? Why are you hunting Saul's hammer?" The figure's mask lifted, revealing a strikingly human face, sharp eyes glowing faintly with an unnatural light. "I am Kalen," the warrior said, "last guardian of the Imperium's secrets. I serve no faction. I serve the legacy itself." Kalen explained a grim truth. The First Imperium had fractured long before the Sundering, splintered into factions vying for control. Kalen's duty was to protect the Awakening Protocol's key from falling into reckless hands. "You have awakened a force beyond your understanding," Kalen warned. "The Protocol can restore the Armada, but it can also unleash devastation. Many who seek its power wish to use it to dominate, not defend." Lena nodded. "We want to protect humanity, not enslave it. Help us complete the Protocol safely." Kalen considered this, then agreed, reluctantly. Together they ventured deep into the Citadel's core, navigating labyrinthine corridors and ancient traps designed to deter intruders. The walls whispered of war, sacrifice, and betrayal at tea. The heart of the Citadel lay the key, a crystalline device pulsing with immense energy. It resonated with the core of Saul's hammer, the final piece needed to awaken the Armada fully. But as they approached, alarms screamed throughout the ruins. The Threx were here. Outside, Threx drop pods stormed the ruins, weapons blazing. A brutal firefight erupted as Lena, Malik, and Kalen fought side by side against overwhelming odds. Kalen's combat skills were otherworldly. He moved like a shadow, striking with precision and strength that seemed beyond human limits. Lena's team covered their retreat, pushing toward the key. With a final leap, Kalen grasped the crystalline device. "It's ours," he said. Back aboard Saul's hammer, Lena interfaced the key with the warship systems. Energy surged through the ship like lightning, illuminating dormant systems and powering up the Armada across the solar system. The remnant AI's voice returned, stronger and clearer. "The Armada awakens. The Imperium's legacy lives again." Lena felt the weight of history settle on her shoulders, hope and danger intertwined. But as the warship hummed with newfound power, Lena knew this was only the beginning. Somewhere in the shadows, darker, forces were gathering, watching and waiting. The legacy of the First Imperium was no simple inheritance. It was a war that time had not ended, and the ghosts of the past were coming home. The warship Saul's hammer thrummed with power, its systems fully awakened. Across the solar system, distant warships stirred from their ancient slumber, echoing the will of their new commanders. Lena stood on the command bridge, her gaze fixed on the stars beyond Mars. The awakening of the First Imperium's Armada was a monumental victory, but the price was clear in every line of tension on her team's faces. "This isn't over," Malik said quietly beside her. "We've woken something that others want. The galaxy's about to change forever." Below them, the Council convened urgently. The revelation of humanity's true origins and the reactivation of the Imperium fleet had shattered political alliances and ignited old rivalries. Some factions saw this as a chance for domination, others as a dire threat to peace. The Threx, battered but unbowed, retreated for now, but their hunger to control or destroy the Armada only deepened. Lena knew the peace was fragile, held together by the hope that humanity could wield its legacy wisely. In the command room, Kalen approached Lena, his expression somber. "The Armada's awakening signals a new era," he said. "But also a warning. The Sundering was born from pride, ambition, and betrayal. We must not repeat those mistakes." Lena nodded. "We need unity. The Imperium's power should protect life, not destroy it." Kalen's eyes glinted with resolve. Then we must build a new Imperium, a true legacy for the stars. But even as hope blossomed, Lena's mind remained haunted by the shadowy figure they had glimpsed on Mars, and the unknown forces still lurking in the darkness. The transmission she had received from the mysterious voice, the warning that the past was a prison and a key, resonated deeper than ever. She understood now that the Imperium's legacy was both a gift and a curse. One quiet moment, alone in the warship's observation deck, Lena activated a private data stream. The holographic star maps flickered as she reviewed the archives, searching for clues. Her eyes caught an ancient inscription etched in a forgotten language. The translation was chilling. When the stars awaken, the forgotten shall rise. The true enemy lies not beyond, but within. Her breath caught. The battle for humanity's future was not just external, it was internal, a struggle against the darkest parts of their own heritage. Suddenly, the ship's sensors detected an unknown vessel approaching rapidly. Alert sounded. Unknown ship, bearing no identification codes, Malik reported. Approaching fast. Lena's pulse quickened. Could this be an ally or a new threat? As the vessel docked, the airlock hissed open. From the shadows stepped a figure cloaked in light and darkness. A woman with piercing eyes that seemed to look into Lena's very soul. "I am Cirrus," she said softly, "a guardian of the true Imperium's legacy. There is much you do not understand. The war has only just begun." Lena stepped forward, determination blazing. "Then teach us. We will not let the mistakes of the past define our future." Cirrus smiled faintly. "Good, because the stars remember, and so must we." Outside the observation window, the Armada gleamed against the cosmos, silent sentinels of an ancient power reborn. Lena felt the weight of countless generations on her shoulders, the sacrifices, the victories, the failures. The story of humanity was no longer a simple tale of survival. It was a saga of awakening, responsibility, and destiny. As the warship powered up for its next mission, Lena whispered to herself, "The past is a prison and a key. We hold both. Now, we choose what to unlock." The legacy of the First Imperium was alive, and humanity would either rise as the stars' true heirs or be consumed by the ghosts they had awakened.